Hey guys, what's up? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my thriller recommendations part 2. Yes, I did do a thriller recommendations video last year in October, and I'll put the link in the description if you want to check out the first part, because if you're watching this and you're like, where the hell is Gone Girl? Or you're like, why didn't you mention this thriller? Then it's probably maybe in my first thriller recommendation video, so definitely check that one out before watching this. And this is my new and improved thriller recommendations, because I love reading thrillers and I've read a lot in the last year and I have more that I want to recommend to you. So in this video I'm going to be recommending you 13 adult thriller books. Let's just jump right in. These thriller recommendations are going to be in order of like my most recommended to some of my least recommended ones. I'm still going to be mentioning some books towards the end that I did give like 3 stars to, and they're not like my favorite thrillers, but I still think that a lot of people could enjoy them, so I still wanted to mention them in this video. Starting off with my highly recommended Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is a story about this woman named Louise, who's a single mother who discovers that the man that she just slept with the night before is her new boss. Then she randomly meets this woman named Adele and befriends her, and they start to become really close when she realizes that David is Adele's husband. And then like Louise just gets sucked into like their orbit in their lives. She realizes that their marriage is really fucked up and neither of them are doing anything about it, and she wants to know more about why they are the way they are. Oh my god, you guys, the end of this book has one of the most amazing, unpredictable endings I've ever read in a book, and it's probably my favorite shocking plot twist ending out of everything on this list. So if you're looking for an ending that will leave you like stunned and like sitting there thinking about what you just read for like ever, then definitely check this one out. And I know this book has been getting a lot of controversy about the ending because some people think it's like a cop-out ending, or I don't know, whatever the hell that means, but I loved it. Loved it. One of my favorite reads of the year. Definitely check this one out. The second one I want to mention is Bad Mommy by Taryn Fisher. It follows a woman named Fig who sees this little girl who she believes is her daughter. Like, her daughter died. I believe it might have been a miscarriage, or it might have been like her young daughter that was like 2 years old or something, I don't remember. But her daughter dies, and so she thinks that this little girl that she keeps seeing is like her daughter. So she decides to move in next door to the couple who has this daughter, and she kind of like forces herself into their lives without their awareness of it. This book is just so good. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the book You by Carolyn Kepnes. The main character in this book, Joe Goldberg, is like a stalkery type character, and Fig in Bad Mommy reminds me of a female version of Joe Goldberg. Her voice is just so creepy and stalkery, and yet you spend so much time in her head and you start rooting for her and you're like, oh my god, it's just so good. And I love these like really like subtle thrillers that are just like kind of creepy and like somebody's stalking them. Ending is like, holy shit, Taryn Fisher, what the fuck? Like, it's just so good, so good. I was just like, I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. Definitely check it out. The third book is going to be The Marriage Lie by Kimberly Bell. This is a story that follows Will and Iris, who are a married couple. Will decides to get on an airplane to Orlando for his conference. And later that day, Iris hears that a plane that was on the way to Seattle crashes and there were no survivors. Like, everybody on the airplane died. And then she gets a phone call saying that Will was on that airplane, and she doesn't understand why he would lie to her about where he was going. So she like starts to track down Will's life in Seattle that she had no idea existed, and just like digging up stories about his past that she had no idea about. Holy shit, this book is such a page turner, and like, you would not believe the amount of lies he's been telling her over the past like 7 years of their marriage. I couldn't put this book down. I read it all in one day and I was just so like engrossed in this story. The freaking ending, like the ending started like spiraling out of control a little bit, and then that final scene like gave me chills. It was like so perfect and so like, whew. Like, it's like you know where it's going next and it just like leaves you right there, and like, holy shit, it was just so good. So good. Definitely recommend it. The next book I want to recommend is Lies She Told by Kate Houlihan. It follows an author named Liza who is in a rut and she's feeling a lot of pressure from everyone to write the next great thriller because her last book didn't do so well. And so we get to see Liza's new thriller in alternating chapters. In her new thriller novel, this woman named Beth discovers that her new husband is cheating on her and they have like a brand newborn baby. In Liza's real life, her husband is a police officer and his police officer partner just went missing, and she's also currently trying to get pregnant, so she's taking these hormones that make her black out, and so it makes Liza the perfect unreliable narrator because she has blackouts frequently and she's dealing with a lot of stress at home with her husband and like trying to find his partner. Holy shit. And like this book is just so good because it starts to like blur the lines of reality and her novel like really well. Oh my god, so good. Really hard to put down. Love this one. Definitely check it out. The fifth recommendation I have for you is Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. Follows two sisters named Emma and Cass who disappear mysteriously one night on a beach. This story takes place when Cass returns home 3 years later, saying that they've been on this island and that they need to find Emma. It just follows this really incredibly fucked up family, and their mom has an intense case of narcissistic personality disorder, and she really like plays favorites with her daughters. All the lies and secrets amongst a family can really just like tear them apart. And I will say the ending was very unpredictable for this one as well. I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I was completely wrong. Super awesome. Definitely check this one out. Next one is The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina. It follows Anne and Marco, who are a married couple, and they leave their 6-month-old baby at their apartment when they go to visit their next door neighbors. Like they just go to this dinner party and then they're gonna be like checking on their baby every like 30 minutes because they couldn't find a sitter, and then they come back home and the baby is missing, and then it's this whole story about who can you trust, like who took the baby. It's really crazy though because like all of these characters are so fucked up. Like even our main characters, Anne and Marco, and then their neighbors, like the couple that's their neighbors, they're all so fucked up, and at one point you're seriously considering every single one of them as a suspect, and you're like, I don't know who took this baby. Like it's so intense, and then when you finally realize it at the end, it's just so the ending was just so good. The next one I have is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Over generations, women have been drowning in this body of water, and it mainly revolves around these sisters named Jules and Nell. Nell is the one who dies mysteriously in the water. Nobody knows why. It's an apparent suicide, but they can't say that for sure. So this book is obviously like, it builds a lot of suspense in trying to figure out whether Nell's death was a suicide or whether she was murdered, and I think that it did that really well. It's really focused in this like very small town. The thing that is a little bit difficult about this book is that it does have 11 different point of views. It's very easy to get confused while reading this book. I personally was like taking notes about who was who because I was getting so mixed up. It was like, you know, it was Nell, the one who died, and then it followed like her daughter, her sister, the local police, the detective's wife, the detective's father, you know, like there's so many people. So it's kind of hard to keep track in your head who's who, but once you figure it out and you just go along with the mystery, I thought it was so good. It was written so well, and I think I might have liked this one better than The Girl on the Train by the same author. I don't know. It was great. Another recommendation I have for you is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is a story about a girl named Quincy who was in a terrible massacre where she was the only survivor left out of all of her friends. They were all brutally murdered, so she became known in the media as the Final Girl. And there's been 2 other huge massacres and 2 other final girls of their own massacres, and their names are Lisa and Sam. Then she hears that Lisa decided to take her own life and is killed. She starts to like fear for her life again. This book is just very suspenseful, and I didn't predict where the ending was going, which was awesome, and this book was really intense. It's awesome. Check it out. My 9th recommendation for you is The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. And I know it's like, this is such a classic, oh my god, but like I just read this for the first time this month, and so I wanted to include it in this video because it is a classic. It's a classic of suspense story about this FBI agent in training named Clarice Starling. She's tracking down this serial killer that goes by the name of Buffalo Bill, and so she uses the help of Hannibal Lecter, who's this psychologist cannibal who's living in a mental asylum. She uses his help in order to help track down Buffalo Bill. The story was just really intense, and I think that Hannibal Lecter is one of the most creepy, interesting characters I've ever read about. Like, he's just so smart and like calculated. It did have some slower sections that I didn't like love, but I do think it is still definitely worth a read. The next one is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. This follows this woman named Gina who was unknowingly married to a serial killer. Her husband was like literally killing women in their garage with the family there, and like she didn't know, and the kids never knew about it. Now her husband is in jail and the police have caught him, and she's like on the run because all these like online trolls think that she knew they want to like ruin her life and like stalk her and like send her inappropriate things, and so she's like on the run with her family, and they're finally settling down at this place called Stillhouse Lake. This book was really slow and boring up until the halfway point, and then it definitely picks up a lot. I thought it was really good. Like, this wouldn't be like one of my highest recommendations for a thriller, but it is still a pretty good thriller in my opinion, so I wanted to recommend it to you guys. The 12th one I wanted to recommend is A Stranger in the House by Sherry Lapina. A man named Tom who comes home from work late at night and discovers that his wife is missing and that she's like left her purse and her cell phone and everything at the house, and he doesn't know where she went. The police find her in a bad neighborhood. She's been in this car accident and she like got a concussion, and she doesn't remember why she left the house and where she was, and she doesn't remember anything about the incident. Honestly, this book ended up being just okay to me. I do really enjoy Sherry Lapina's writing, but I would definitely recommend The Couple Next Door over A Stranger in the House, just because A Stranger in the House definitely did have its problems. But if you're looking for something kind of creepy and fun, then I would definitely recommend this one. And the last book I wanted to recommend is one that I didn't personally love myself, but I know a lot of other people could. That book is going to be I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And this book follows this guy named Jake who takes his girlfriend to his family's like really creepy farm that's like in the middle of nowhere. Then like all this weird shit starts happening when they're at the farm, and then after they visit the farm they drive through this like snowstorm and they go and visit his old abandoned high school, and the whole story is told from the girlfriend's perspective even though she's never given a name, which is very strange. And the ending of this book is so confusing, and I still don't really understand what happens at the end of this book. So it's supposed to be like a really mind-blowing plot twist that changes like the entire book, but I personally still don't understand what exactly happened, and I know like a lot of other people love this book because of the ending, and I just don't understand it. So I still wanted to recommend it to you guys because I know like if you do understand the ending, then that's lit and you'll probably love it. So those are all of my thriller recommendations for today. Have you read any of these? What are your thoughts on any or all of these? I'll be putting the links in the description for all the Goodreads pages for these books so you can check those out. Yeah, and do you have any other thriller recommendations for me? I mean, I still have so many on my TBR that I need to read. Even just thinking right now, like Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King, I need to read. Big Little Lies, I still want to read. The Widow, Woman Number 17. Just so many, so many. I just need to get on it. But yeah, let me know in the comments what are your favorite thrillers that you want to recommend to me, and what are your favorite out of all of these that I just mentioned. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time. And she realizes that oh my god, I can't talk today. Find out that the woman Adele is David's I was gonna say husband.